So what was happening? Well, we were about 50 miles or so from Gibraltar, just leaving the Atlantic Ocean and heading towards the Mediterranean and the Straits of Gibraltar. Maybe about 25 miles or so off the coast of Spain. You can see the wheel here being ripped from my hand violently on its full lock from left to right, or port to starboard, however you want to call it, but at no point was I able to control it. So what's happening here is we're still motoring. We've got the sails up and obviously the engine electrics and everything around. Shortly we'll turn the engine off, turn off the electrics, and hope that that will be enough to stop their inquisitive nature. Now these attacks, so attack's a terrible word to use, and the word killer whale is something that I'm not particularly fond of as well, because it's such a dramatic and negative thing. But this wasn't friendly. It was not like watching dolphins that come up to the side of the boat and swim along. This was something a little bit more orchestrated. What seemed to be happening was there was a pod, and I'm guessing maybe of up to about, I thought at some points about maybe 20 of them, ranging from the smallest little baby ones up to some full-sized adults. They would go under the boat, they would bash up against the hull, and they would rub their bodies, I'm assuming, up against the rudder stock. I'm not sure if they were using their teeth either, but at some point we did notice behind the boat chunks of the rudder that had been bitten off. At this point onwards, we've got the sails off. Their breathing and the sounds coming from them was quite eerie. So with these little chunks of rudder sitting out in the water, I'm like, this isn't a good thing, because the last thing I ever wanted to do was basically have to deploy a life raft if the boat was sinking. And I don't know about you, but the idea of being kick-flipped to Jesus is not the way that I plan to go to heaven in this planet. So they would come under the boat, and as I say, I'm not sure if it was their teeth they were using. The only reason I say that I'm not sure is at one point I did look behind the boat and saw one of the orcas with a fairly large chunk of rudder in its mouth. That didn't fill me with a great deal of optimism. For some reason I thought, you know what, I think this boat's got problems. Their breath wasn't great either. I suppose they're supposed to be looking for tuna at this time of year, and to be honest, there's not a great deal of fish at all in the Med, and can you imagine being that size of an animal and how much food they need to find? Apparently there's an association with man and the lack of food, and they're intelligent enough to be able to realize that we are probably responsible for the lack of food. Maybe that's why they've been targeting the boats. At the end of the day, it's their ocean, we're the visitors. So we made our way back, or shall we say limped into Gibraltar, checked in, and I ducked the camera underneath, and you can see the big chunk out of the rudder that's been bitten and or chewed off. So you can see there it's well, I think the sailing term is knackered. That's pretty serious.